about transitioning that? Because that really is the core
Mhm.
of keeping the customer in mind, customer-centric marketing and selling, keeping
Mhm.
our organizations around that. Because at some point, that CEO really needs to be the visionary. They need to be magic. They've got to peel off parts of what they did at the beginning.
Yeah.
How do you go about transitioning that to someone else who has a similar love for gaining insights and listening to the customer?
Yeah, in the startup environment, that transition can be rough. I've experienced it now at multiple companies many times. The way I've learned to solve that is by stratifying and saying, okay, we know that the vision, the overarching vision is yours, CEO, and it should remain yours. As we begin to identify lines of business, those need to transition away, and they need to be given to a professional manager so that you can move on, CEO, to continue to innovate and continue to be the visionary that you are. If that conversation goes well, it's easy. If that conversation doesn't go well, that can be a problem. But I find it's a very natural split, and it usually frankly does go well, because the fact is that CEOs innately recognize, oh my gosh, there are so many details. Do I really want to follow up on this and do this? And furthermore, and this is hugely important to the success of any company, especially at the outset or in getting into a new line of business. You're going to have a beachhead strategy. You're going to have something that's not necessarily the end all be all. It's let's get our feet dry here, and then we'll figure out where we go from there. I find that by doing that, by lowering expectations a little bit, creating a product that might be just that beachhead, that immediately allows the CEO to feel less emotionally invested, less of an owner of that. And they've done their job. They've been successful, and they can feel comfortable about transitioning out. So that's important. It does, because of who I work with, the kind of companies I work with, this comes up a lot. And I find myself navigating those conversations. And I think yet, if you look at the next step from that, and this is important, and I'll just mention it because it's a dysfunction that I hate to see, the CEO will frequently transfer that power to the technology team. I've outlined my vision, go build it. That vision is never complete. It just isn't. It's not the fault of the CEO. It's just not complete. And so it puts a real burden on the technology team, and it's unfair to them. It really is. And I've had to come in and clean things like that up. I had that a few years ago at a software company that was already very successful, but it was sort of successful in spite of itself. It knew it had to change, but it didn't know what was preventing it from changing. And it was simply this organizational dysfunction. And once we addressed it, everything was fine. And everybody was on board with the new vision. It was just one of those things that nobody had seen. They didn't understand that.